Chazoro, just go through the flow. Sisa, the shadow word, why is the pasuk used kisisa and not kuda, kisifkoid? The second shadow is machsa shekel, so machsa shekel is kapora and cheta egel. So why is it used for the foundation, not just for the Mishkan, but the diuk was the foundation, so much so that it's considered the karka of the Mishkan. Which is why we derive from here the issur of binyan on Shabbos, because if you build something on kelim, it's not considered min haTorah binyan. So the Gemara Yerushalmi says that the Yisod is like the karka. So the shaila is that Mishkan is thinking of avidas tzadikim, timidim kisidram. So how is machsa shekel at once kapara and cheta egel sherish kol hachatoyim and avidas tzadikim Mishkan? To understand that, we have to understand the makam shbali tshuv imdim ein tzadikim geburim yochel lamad by where should that be? And even though it's avodas b'chele yatir, it's only b'chele yatir because chota or pogam v'nisrachik. He sinned blemished and became distant, which the tzaddik did not by his choice. So he's penalized that he cannot reach the level of the Baal Tshuva. So to understand this, you have to understand Shreirish Inyan HaTshuva. And what's Shreirish Inyan HaTshuva? It's the amshocha of the Yud Gimel Midas HaRachamim. But before that can happen, it's v'samticha b'nikra satzur. David said to Moishe, I'll place you in the cleft of the rock. So this is the tzur, that's the teichen pnimius, and the nekud of the tzur, the cleft of the tzur means the depth of it, and that's the source of fire, and that's the source of inyan haTshuva. Now we have to understand fire. See the natural flow chart here. What's the inyan of fire that elikus is compared to fire? The answer is that of all of the Daled Yisodis, only the teva of fire is an effort, the desire to divest itself of the matter. It seeks to tear itself away from the wickedness, only tethered because of the fuel. Now to understand that. No, before that, so he added that the desire expressed in Eish to separate itself from creation is because creation is only ha'orah. In the words of the Alter Rebbe in Torah Oyer, Megillas Esther, Lo zeh ikar olikus ma she'elam es mishav mimenu. This is not the primary ikar, the ikar of olikus, that God is a creator. That's not ikar olikus. Ikar olikus is beyond the ishtalshelus, and that's what fire seeks to unite with. Now, in Lois Gimbal, ha'inyan bazeh. So where did he begin? So he touched that that goes on, obviously doesn't go on. It's referring to Bria, Yitzira, Nasiya. So Bria, Yitzira, Nasiya is a result of Shmi, of only the merest glimmer. And even as we explained, Shem has some shaykhs to the person, some traceable connection, albeit external. Kvaidi is even less. Kvaidi is mamesh, something completely external, and something that others give, mamesh. Your name is more personal than hopefully the honor that you get. So that's even a further tzimtzum. In order to create, so it's God covered only, as it were, invested the covet of his name, B'Shmi U'Lechvaydi, invested in B'ri Yetzirah, in creation, which was the last point of the previous ois. The teva of eish represents the desire to leave creation because it's only ha'ara, and this is the va'inyan. He's explaining that the miras galimba in creation by bringing the pasuk and explaining b'shmi l'chvedi. It's a mishnah. It's a mishnah in the pasuk. Then further arichos and explains. First he explains biyah. Biyah is connected machshava dibur ma'aseh. So machshava is the beginning of the mitzias of Oisius. True, Oisius are rooted in etzem hanefesh or atzmius hanefesh. That's the shoresh. We do not speak of the shoresh. We're talking about the emergence of Oisius. And the Oisius begin in machshava. And even though in machshava there's Oisius, as we just stated, and that's Giloy HaNefesh, Oisius Meloshen Osa Boika, the morning has come, but still it's an internal memo, it's an internal Giloy. When you're thinking, you're communicating with yourself, you're talking to yourself. It's an internal conversation. As we've learned in previous Haimon, there's many levels to machshava. There's the final thought, machshava, just before you speak. And then there's much more primal levels of machshava, which are not a hachana for dibur, but an internal conversation. And in the internal conversation, gufa, there's many levels of the investment of seichel or the middah in machshava. But beklolus, it says here, it's a gilui to the self. Then there's dibur, and dibur is already mamish b'derech gilui hahelem. The world outside doesn't know what you're thinking, thankfully. So now, it's like yesh ma'ayin, meaning, the oishis machshava in the brackets there, the like yisabas oishis machshava, the brackets there, 2/3 down in Ois Gimel. Oishis machshava shalei nirgish behem mekayra. You know, it's not a traceable thing that from what something came the thought. They just emerge. But that's like yesh ma'ayin. But Shavar dibur, it's traceable. You thought and you speak, but it's just that the source is behelim. And now it's the letters now emerge in a revealed way. And that's the diak that we say in davening and in Birchas Kriya Shema, Yoitzer Oir Uvoire Choshev. No? Who can say the Taish? Anybody? You can look at it. It's out of 27 in the text. Yeah. Okay, so what? He wants to explain this. No, Machshava Dibur, the diak. Huh? I'm sorry, you have to speak up. So which is what? Which is what? Which is Machshava, which is Dibur? Yeah. Bria is Choshech v'Helem, like Oishes HaMachshava. What does it mean Choshech v'Helem? From us. It's not our world, Bria. I mean, it's in the same category. We're talking creation, but it's Behelem relative to us, like Machshava, and Yitzirah, the Lo Malachim, and the Midas, etc. That is Erve Gila like Dibur. Choshech to us. This is the upshot of Choshech relative to our state, hidden from us. So and that's Machshava and Dibur. Now Moishe, this is all to explain how creation is only a ziva ha'ara. So Moishe corresponds to Elamasiya. So the koiches, he concludes, Machshava Dibur and Moishe are a dogma to Biyah. He says they're rak a dogma to be. They're merely a parallel. So the pasuk says, "Kol hanikra b'shmi u'lechvoidi." And what's nimshach in Biyah, as the pasuk goes on to say, is Shem, and not just Shem, but also lechvoidi. Now, did we do this already? Ain't covered al Torah. That's what we're up to. Did we do it? I don't remember. So let's do it. I think we did. We did. We're halfway through Eis Dalet, no? Huh? Okay.
We didn't finish it because you didn't want to rush it.
I know, but then with
Friday morning.
Friday was a Thursday.
We did not finish it because you didn't want to rush it
right.
On Friday.
We didn't do Eis Dalet yet. No, we haven't done it yet. Okay, so we're up to here. Okay.
We're up to the top of page Kuf Samach Ches. I mean, sorry, on the top of I don't know. I have.
Yeah,
okay, you have that sefer. Yeah, okay.
It is Kuf Samach Ches. Yes, if you have
on the top line, but Eitzais. We're up to Eitzais.
Right. If you have this format, but if you're using what I from Lahak that I sent, it's a different format.
2 lines before the number 29.
Mm-hmm. So let's continue. This order, which is Shem, a name. Of course, the name is a very external part of a dimension of who we are. It's only required for others, to get your attention, to identify you. But even that, this is kvoidi, my glory. So we stopped him. We asked, in covered al Torah, Pirkei Avos, there's no covered by Torah. So wait a second, we stopped it. I didn't want to rush it because we're talking further tzimtzum, and now Torah is the means by which it comes lamata. Even less gilui than shame. The name explains that. Zoh to explain the inyan of Eish, and Eish seeks to separate itself from the Mata. And he described what's the Mata. The Mata is beyond the whole Arichas. What tethers the Eish Lamata? Fuel. What's the truth? That's Torah. Hainu. So first of all, it's through Torah that the Hashem's creates to begin with. Like Chazal say on the pasuk, I was Torah speaking. So the eya etzli omon, it means present tense. It could also be I will be, but it's I am. Etzli omon, a nursling. So that's the pasuk, the pshat. It means a close, intimate relationship with God. So Chazal say, it's a pasuk in Mishlei, Chazal in Zoyar. The word omon can be read as umnus, a craft, a profession. I am, says the Torah, the craftsman's tool, implying with which God created, fashioned the world through Torah. No, that source is from Medrash. The next one's from Zohar. He started Bara Alma Davis, looked into Torah and created the world. Hello, we learned creation at the outset, because there was no avodah, it was purely unilaterally Hashem's chesed. Now that the world was created. So avodah samata began already in Gan Eden, that was all really hachana for after Matan Torah. So now it has to be, because we got mitzvahs, so it has to be from below. So this is Torah, this is a person, this is what learning Torah affects. Liyas nimshach bebiyah. So the Eish Shalamayla, it doesn't elaborate, but it means, perhaps, just saying based on Tanya and other sources, what it means is that Neshama's desire to ascend above, so remains firmly tethered in Biyah. Why? Because the true connection is Dafka in Torah. That's the deepest connection today, which is Dafka Lamata. But let's see what the Maimon says. So Torah, A, is the means by which the world is created. He seems to imply like this, that the Oyer, the Eibishter's revelation by nature, is revelation. Meaning beyond creation. So it's through Istakel Beiraisa, it's through Torah that the world is created. Because in Torah, it doesn't elaborate, but in Torah, God has invested or expressed his desire for Dira B'Tachtonim. To put it in simple language, if it wouldn't be for the desire of Dira B'Tachtonim, there's no creation. There's no creation. It's not Eila L'Shulchan. It doesn't, it's not on the table. Creation. What kind of business is that? But there's a desire of Dira B'Tachtonim, that's expressed in Torah. That's why creation starts to begin with Chavitz Chesed. But that's God's waiting expectantly for Avodas Ha'adam. It starts after Matan Torah. And then the Eish, which is Teva, Eila L'Mayla, which is a Likus and Neshama, everything that's true remains tethered here because Nisava is Dafke here. And the connection is Dafke here. Okay, I'm reading all this in because that's what he's saying, though he's not saying it outright. Maybe the Maimon will say, not maybe, so they're going to say what it's going to say. So let's see. Please, Dalit. It's coming now is more arichus here in the Inyan of Biyah, because that's the kavan is Biyah, and the person as a microcosm of Lekus has the Inyan of Biyah, Machshava Dibur Maisa. So let's see more detail. V'nei kishem shehamshocha shalamar yishadei atera lechvoidi. Just like Hashem's revelation through Torah, which is the final word lechvoidi, which, by the way, explains already here the inherent stir in the word lechvoidi. On the other hand, covet, we said, is a very external thing, and he runs after covet. On the other hand, its simple meaning is glory of God. Yeah, the glory of God is dafke in the tacht. So at any rate, so that's all drawn, and Torah expresses that and makes and implements that. His implements creation and reveals his desire for creation. So in the same way that again, so just like Damshach Shalom Ma'ilish through Torah L'Chavedi Nechlekas the Gimel B'chinas. So Damshach manifests itself on these three planes of Baros Sivitzadev Afasisiv. That's where Likus is drawn down, contrary to the nature of the Likus, which is Eish. So Cain, Babavida Sodom, likewise in Avoid Sheklol, it's in the Limedat Torah, Nechlak, the Gimla Kavim, Teraved, the Gimlas Chasadim. Torah itself, I'm not talking the classic divisions. Within Torah itself, Torah divides and reflects Biyah. It's the blueprint of Biyah. It's the justification of Biyah. And therefore, in Torah itself, there's the three inyonim of Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasadim. How so in the brackets? What's Avodah and Gemilas Chasadim have to do with Torah? Answer. Okay, they limit that Torah Shaleda ifan hanhage b'chol gimel hakavim. Through Torah itself, you can know how to conduct yourself in all three kavim. In all three kavim, tzadichin a little bit. The other two, expecting to say. Whatever the beer. Just also wondering why it doesn't say that in Torah there's the Gimel Kavim, you have Shammai and Hillel, and you have the Halacha, you have Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes. Because he wants to show the association. Now Torah directs mamish the avodah, the actual avodah and Gemilas Chasadim. At any rate, point is that in Limud HaTorah is the Gimel Kavim. Now that corresponds to Shehei Machshava Dibur U'Maisa, which, as we said before, corresponds to Machshava Dibur U'Maisa. Keneged Gimel Olam Mizbiyah, which corresponds, as we said before, the Gimel Olam Mizbiyah. Now to explain it. Now we see why he has to talk about Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasadim, because that's where you see Machshava Dibur U'Maisa. That's why. Okay, good. Answer the question. And Torah directs it. He goes on to explain now how Torah guides and is expressed in Machshava Dibur U'Maisa. In all these three avodas. So specifically, the avoid of karbonis is bechinas machshava. That's the avoid of machshava. Shari bekarbonis nas psul afilu al yedei machshava bilvad. As we know, right? Pigol person brings a korban and he has the wrong intent. He intends to bring the korban for another korban other than he actually brings it, or he has a intent to eat the meat at the time after the Zman, or eat the meat outside the parameters of the particular korban. So these machshavas that the Kohen would have, which are pigol, so they invalidate the korban. That's unique about korbanos. Now, question, not a question, elaboration. Even though all the mitzvahs of Torah, the ikir is dibur u'maisa, ve'ein oinchin al machshava, as the Rambam says, heaven does not punish for a wrong thought. It's only the actual words or behavior. That's the chiddush of karbonos. Here's the exception, that aside from all the hundreds of practical halachas, is also the dimension of machshava, which is integral. And not only is there also machshava, unlike the Levim, which is song, the avodah of the kohen is silent, and desire of the heart. So the avodah kohen is machshava, and b'chashoy in silence, not in song. Well, derech helem the machshava, that's like thought, which is silent, which is not revealed to the outside. The two words of the Zohar, chashoy and rusa del liba, the two levels. Chashoy is one level of depth of the nefesh, but the rusa del liba, desire of the heart, is even a deeper level than thought. Yes, it can be readily appreciated. So that's what of karbonos. Conclusion: karbonos is the union of what corresponds to Elam Abriya and corresponds to Machshav. Kav HaTorah b'chinas dibur. Now Torah is dibur. How so? How did we get the Torah? God spoke. God spoke, God said. So likewise, the din is kamekin tzarich leislim without Torah. They are the dibur dafka person learning Torah. It's halach and shulchan aruch to fulfill the mitzvah limit of Torah. It's not enough to think. You have to articulate the words. Yichus Talmud Torah. Like the pasuk says in Mishlei, Chaim Heim L'Mitzvah. And the simple meaning is that Torah is life for those who find it. But Chazal say, Gemara Neidavim, Dorsha Chazal, the word Meitzeh means those who bring them out, who articulate them in words. Dorsha Chazal Meitzeh bepeh dafke, that you have to articulate the words of Torah, articulate them verbally. Now the Chur, that's Torah's words, Torah's understanding. What we're saying now that the Torah's dibur doesn't contradict the great virtue of Torah K'may Marazal. Shetal, the Torah Keneged Kulam. We just said, right? But you said this in the brachas. The Talmud Torah corresponds to all of them. Shekel Gam Tefillah, which includes Tefillah. Now, what became Tefillah? B'chinas Machshava. Tefillah is korbanos, and Tefillah is Machshava. Ikir Tefillah is Kavana. And we're saying that Torah is equal to Tefillah. So l'chayr, it has the mile of machshava, and even more. Torah bechinas dibur shlamata machshava. And now we're saying Torah is dibur, which is lower than machshava. So how do you reconcile this? Answer, that's the point. Give and shad. In a sense, means the question itself is giving you the answer. The contrary, since Torah comes from a higher place than tefillah, therefore it's manifested and comes down and to fulfill the mitzvah dafke b'dibur. It's a little bit because in Krishma you have to say the words also. There's also the inyan of dibur in tefillah as a chiyuv, not yaitze b'machshava. But we for months learned about it in a maimer, but in Kotesichas there's a whole arichas. The difference between the dibur of tefillah and the dibur of Torah. The Torah comes down, whatever's higher can descend lower, as we're always learning, right? The more powerful the source of the light, the further its reach. Now, an interesting parallel. To explain this inyan of what? Of that which is higher descends lower. Being the we find about the faculties of sight and the faculties of listening. Hearing about something. When you look at something, that's it. It's not filtered. That you see it. When you hear about something, you're not seeing it. You are learning about its existence. You're learning about that it exists. You're hearing about it. So you're learning about its mitzias, you understand the difference, but not the mahus. In simple language, you're learning about it, you're not seeing it. You're seeing it. So hearing, you can hear about something spiritual. But a physical thing, you can grasp, only you can see. So on the one hand, there's the mile of Shmiya. That Shmiya, what? He wants to bring out the mile. He wants to bring out the Iya is like Torah. Higher, therefore coming lower. Shmiya can grasp a spiritual thing. Again, how to be Shmiya tevis b'davar ruchni berech hadavar agashmi, relative in compared to davar gashmi, shenitves b'reiyah dafke davar gashmi, you grasp it when you see it. So what's the reason for what? The reason that a davar gashmi can be grasped by seeing, because it is actually higher, therefore can descend lower and grasp a davar gashmi, whereas shmiya cannot grasp a davar gashmi. Shmiya so low, shmiya can only grasp the ruchnius of the gashmi. You can't actually grasp the gashmi, because that you got to see. You can hear about it, its properties, its qualities, all these descriptions. But the actual thing itself, to see it, you can't see it with through hearing about it. That's because the Iya is higher. Now sometimes the Chassidus, it brings out that's the mile of Shmiya, of course. Because Shmiya does not see, therefore it can entertain and hear things that are not in your world. That's the mile. But he was bringing out the mile of the Iya. Is that clear? The mile, because it's a higher faculty, therefore it can see the thing. And Shmiya, you can never see the thing. You can hear about it. And it said you'll only relate to the thing on the ruch. By ruchnis don't mean necessarily kedusha, but ruchnis means a non-ethereal. And you build a picture in your head. Hopefully an accurate picture of what the thing is. Or an approximation. But now it continues. the Malas HaTorah. This is not a perfect example, but as a marshal for Torah. For the reason we just said, the downshot. True, seeing, it's a higher faculty of the person, and therefore can actually see things. But it can't see a spiritual thing. Torah has both miles. It has both dibur, comes down to dibur, and also machshava. Which is like the in our case. In addition to the dibur, which you're saying, because it's a higher than tefillah, it comes down lower, right? Which it comes down in dibur. It also has the mile of tefillah. What's that? As we said before, in Torah. Yeah, are we following all this? Yes. Gam, yes, folks. Mitzvah sidiyas ha-Torah v'yin ha-Torah. So in conclusion, Torah has both milas, also learning, which is the ruchnius de gechelik, the mile of shmiyah, as it were, but it also has the mile of re'iyah, which is higher than shmiyah, that comes down, and his teifas is a davar gashmi, can actually see the thing, and that's why Torah, the chiddush of Torah is the dibur of Torah. Dibur in addition to machshav, whereas tefillah is mainly machshav. Like just on a simple level, it's understood why tefillah is ikas machshava and dibur, the ikar, Torah is dibur. Because the ikar of Torah is the instruction and the behavior. That's the main thing of Torah, at least on one level, is the implementation. So you hear the words and you do it. Tefillah is a communication with the Eibishter. Just to say the words and not to have the content is to miss the point. And also in halacha, there has to be, even though mitzvahs ain't tzrichas kavana, that's the halacha, but to be yotzei tefillah, you at least have to have the awareness you're talking to the Eibishter. If you don't have that awareness, then you're not yotzei any. It's only babbled. That's meaningless. But in Torah, a person could not think he's learning the Eibishter's Torah, and he's yotzei. B'chlal he's yotzei with that Torah. He has to stop and think he's talking about the Eibishter. But in tefillah, if there's not a God awareness throughout, that's machshava. There's no tefillah. Even if he doesn't know the meaning of the words, he has to at least be aware he is talking to the Eibishter. Whereas mitzvahs, for example, not. The person dunks in the mikveh and has no idea what, when, he's Torah. And limud Torah also can learn Torah and not have machshava, mean to say kavana, machshava/kavana. There has to be some element of kavana in tefillah, or you're not yotzei. Not the words, but an awareness. That's unique to tefillah, but in Torah doesn't need to have that kavana to be yotzei. You should. You're not yotzei without it. Speak up, yeah?
Doesn't have to discuss in Tanya that Jada without kavana lo as a clue, and with tefillah, it's just it's missing the wings to ascend and so on.
So that's a different level of kavana. That's the kavana of not just not the basic we're speaking of here. The kavana of av and yireh means there. There it means av and yireh. Different level of kavana. The wings. We're talking about the basic kavana of an awareness. You're talking to the Eibishter. If Torah doesn't require that to be yotzei, should. But tefillah, yes. Okay.